afternoon, keluarga Malaysia. You're watching updates at noon and I'm Renee Fong. In our headlines today, SOPs for COVID-19 influenza in schools when necessary. Customs foil attempt to smuggle wildlife parts. The Education Ministry may activate standard operating procedures SOP whenever necessary following the rise in COVID-19 and influenza cases recently. Senior Education Minister Datuk Dr. Rasmi said any activation of safety and health protocols must be done upon advice by the Health Ministry. He said any decisions taken will be based on discussions with the Health Ministry.
Dalam tempoh 2 tahun lepas banyak perkara-perkara yang kita pelajari dan apa yang paling penting setiap protokol yang ditetapkan oleh Kementerian Kesihatan itu kita akan patuhi. Jadi kita sentiasa berbincang lihat apakah perkara pendekatan yang perlu dilaksanakan dan insya-Allah perbincangan ini kita sentiasa laksanakan bagi memastikan walaupun dalam keadaan influenza walaupun dalam keadaan kes COVID yang sedikit meningkat ini kita dapat teruskan persekolahan dalam keadaan yang selamat dan teratur insya-Allah.
He said this in a press conference after officiating the Malaysia Title League 2022 at Taman Pancarona Mini Stadium in Putrajaya today. Also present was Youth and Sports Minister Datuk Sri Ahmad Faizal Azumu. Malaysia recorded an increase in COVID-19 cases in the recent weeks. According to data by Health Ministry, there was a 23.4% increase of COVID-19 cases in the 28th epidemiology week compared to the previous week. The country recorded 3,080 COVID cases yesterday. The Education Ministry will channel allocation immediately to address various pressing needs in schools, especially involving the maintenance and infrastructure development. In this regard, Senior Education Minister Dr. Mohammad Razzi Jidin has instructed all district education officers, PPDs, to immediately channel relevant information to the ministry to enable urgent matters at schools to be addressed so that swift action could be taken.
Sebab itu yang peranan yang dimainkan oleh PPD ini cukup penting. Jadi mereka yang sentiasa rapat dengan sekolah dan perkara ini perlu disampaikan pada kementerian. Jadi bila kita susun prioriti itu, keutamaan itu, senarai keutamaan itu, kita boleh selesaikan yang menghadapi keutamaan yang paling mendesak sekali.
Speaking to reporters in Telupit, Sabah yesterday, Datuk Mohammad Razzi said his ministry is currently detailing the factors hindering the development of school infrastructure, including teachers' quarters, to ensure implementation can be done immediately. Earlier, he visited several rural schools, namely Sekolah Kebangsaan Ulu Ansuan and two more in Beluran, SK Jambongan and SK Pantai Boring. Also present was Agriculture and Food Industries Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Ronald Kandi, who is also Beluran MP. The Royal Malaysian Customs Department JKDM has foiled a syndicate's attempt to smuggle wildlife parts, including elephant tusks, rhinoceros horns, pangolin scales and tiger fangs, worth 80 million ringgit, hidden behind a pile of sawn timber in a container. Customs Director General Dato' Zazuli Johan said the container was seized at Westport, Port Klang on 10th July, making it the biggest seizure involving wildlife parts.
Sehingga kini, Unit 2 Selangor telah berjaya mengesan 106 kes yang mengungut ketirisan hasil sebanyak 928,729.08 melalui saringan pengimbas yang baru. Okey, dalam tahun 22 sehingga ini, Mei, ada 18 kes tak termasuk kes ni masih dalam siasatan yang dianggarkan jumlah nilainya adalah 3,107,000 dan jumlah cukai terbabit adalah 13,793,813 ringgit.
Speaking at a press conference yesterday, Datuk Zazuli said the container believed from an African country was supposed to dock at Pasir Gudang Port, Johor, to be transferred to another ship, but the customs received information on the smuggling and intercepted the container at Westport. He said JKDM believed Malaysia is a transit before the goods are brought to other countries to be marketed. However, Datuk Zazuli said no arrests were made so far and investigations on the importer and shipping agents are ongoing. He added the case is being investigated under Section 135, subsection 1, subsection A of the Customs Act 1967 for trying to smuggle illegal or duty unpaid goods via Malaysian ports. Pilgrims have been advised to be cautious of Hajj packages involving Furada visas that are too good to be true. Deputy Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Religious Affairs, Dato' Ahmad Marzuk Shari said the issuance of Furada visas was the right of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Visa Furada ini hak kerajaan Saudi berikan kepada individu-individu yang ada hubungan langsung dengan pihak kerajaan melalui kedutaan. Dan apa yang berlaku ialah pihak tertentu yang mengambil kesempatan untuk bisnes mereka dengan menawarkan pakej walaupun mereka belum ada jaminan mendapat visa Furada.
When met at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport KLIA yesterday, Dato' Ahmad Marzuk advised prospective pilgrims to be vigilant to avoid getting caught up in a fraud. He also said that the department does have a certain mechanism that will be discussed with the Tourism, Arts and Culture Ministry MOTAC for the next year's Hajj seasons to address such issues. The 39-year-old food delivery rider who was arrested on Sunday for insulting Islam has been remanded for 4 days from yesterday for investigations. Sepang Police Chief ACP Wan Kamarul Azran Wan Yusof said the remand order was issued by the Kuala Lumpur Magistrates Court yesterday. He said the suspect is being detained at the Dangwangi Police lockup and the case is being investigated for insulting a religion under Section 298A of the Penal Code and the misuse of network facilities under Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act. 6 police reports were lodged against the suspect on Sunday after a video of him berating Malays and insulting Islam and Prophet Muhammad surfaced early on Sunday. Several people incensed by the man's actions tracked him down and confronted him at his house in Taman Bukit Kuchai Puchong. The suspect managed to make a video prior to his arrest where he expressed regret over his actions and apologized. Later, policemen from Bukit Aman showed up at his house and apprehended the man. The hearing of an application by former Sabah Infrastructure Development Minister Datuk Peter Anthony to stay his conviction for falsifying a letter on contract work at University of Malaysia Sabah UMS has been postponed to 28th July. Deputy Public Prosecutor Harish Prakash Somya said the postponement was due to Sessions Court Judge Azura Alwi being on emergency leave yesterday. Datuk Peter filed the application pending the outcome of his appeal to the High Court on the grounds of contesting in the coming 15th general election. In the application, Datuk Peter, as the applicant said, the conviction would jeopardise his nomination for a parliamentary seat in the general election. On the 26th May, the Sessions Court sentenced Datuk Peter to 3 years imprisonment and a fine of 50,000 ringgit after he was found guilty of forging a letter for mechanical and electrical systems M&E maintenance work at UMS. The offence was allegedly committed at the office of the Prime Minister's Principal Private Secretary at the Perdana Putra building in Putrajaya between 13th June and 21st August 2014. Judge Azura also ordered Datuk Peter, 51, to serve a 15-month jail sentence if he failed to pay the fine. She also allowed a stay of execution of the jail sentence pending an appeal at the High Court. Coming up next, Maha 2022 platform to eliminate middlemen in agriculture. The Malaysia Agriculture, Horticulture and Agrotourism Exhibition MAHA 2022, which will be held in August, among others, serves as a platform to eliminate the role of middlemen in the agriculture sector and food supply chain. Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Food Industries Datuk Dr. Nik Muhammad Zawawi Saleh said, through the business chain established by MAHA 2022, there would be direct businesses between procedures and consumers, thus potentially avoiding the role of middlemen.
Kita nak menghapuskan golongan yang ketiga yang cuba mengambil kesempatan untuk mengauk kekayaan dalam keadaan yang tidak sewajarnya. Maka kita mengharapkan apabila wujudnya rantaian perniagaan melalui MAHA yang kita anjurkan ini, maka dia akan berlaku perniagaan direct di antara pengeluar dengan pengguna. Di samping kita nak mewujudkan juga rantaian perniagaan dalam bidang teknologi-teknologi yang telah dicapai oleh kerajaan kita dengan pengguna-pengguna teknologi ini.
He said this after the pre-launch of the Agro-Food Floriculture Park in conjunction with MAHA 2022 in Putrajaya yesterday. MAHA 2022 will be held in hybrid mode from 4th to 14th August at the Malaysia Agro Exposition Park Serdang Maps with the theme Food Security for the Future. It is expected to attract 1.1 million visitors during the 11 days of the program and generate over 250 million in potential sales value. The Special Task Force on Jihad Against Inflation is targeting a 10% decrease in the price of cooking oil within the next 2 weeks following the drop in palm oil prices. Its chairman, Tan Sri Anwar Musa, said he hoped that the industry, including manufacturers, would work together to reduce the price of cooking oil during the period.
Memohon kerjasama semua pengilang-pengilang dan dalam masa seminggu dua daripada sekarang, kita ingin melihat harga minyak masak diturunkan kepada satu paras sekurang-kurangnya 10% lebih rendah daripada harga ianya dijual sekarang, iaitu lebih kurang pada harga RM42 bagi botol 5 kilogram.
Tan Sri Anwar also said that bottled cooking oil was not being subsidised. Therefore, there was no price control being enforced. In addition, he said the Special Task Force had agreed for the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, KPD and HEP, to hold an engagement session with each manufacturer involved to convey the message that the reduction in cooking oil prices should be given priority and expedited. The Ministry of Transport, MOT, welcomes the government's decision to allow the recruitment of foreign workers for the land warehousing subsector and the designation of the ministry as the regulatory agency. Minister concerned, Datuk Sri Dr. Wee Ka Siong, said the decision was taken in view of the shortage of manpower in the subsector.
Disebabkan aktiviti import-ekspor menjadi lebih rancak akibat daripada permintaan yang mula beransur pulih dan mencapai satu tahap yang agak memberangsangkan. Dan antara perkara yang rumutan yang telah disebut oleh sektor pengusaha gudang ni ialah tak ada pekerja. Dan saya akan arahkan MOT supaya kita memang menjalankan tugas mengawal selia apa juga pengambilan berdasarkan kepada garis panduan yang ditetapkan di bawah Akta 446 di bawah Kementerian Sumber Manusia.
Datuk Sri Dr. Wee said this at a dinner in conjunction with the 13th Cooperative Mechanism in Kuala Lumpur last night. Earlier, Home Ministry Datuk Sri Hamzah Zainuddin in a special press conference reportedly announced that the recruitment of foreign workers for the land warehouse subsector is allowed and the Ministry of Transport is acting as the regulatory agency. The Malaysian Space Board will be fully launched early next year to enforce the Malaysian Space Board Act 2022 Act 834, which was gazetted on 25th January. Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Adham Baba said the board would enact regulations related to the act that had been passed to regulate and develop the country's space industry in accordance with international agreements.
Dan lembaga angkasa Malaysia ini adalah lembaga yang akan membuat peraturan-peraturan berkaitan dengan perkara yang dikaitkan dengan akta lembaga angkasa supaya dia dapat laksanakan mengikut treaty dan juga peraturan antarabangsa. Jadi kita telah berjaya tubuhkan lembaga angkasa secara interim sehingga peraturan-peraturan yang perlu dibangunkan selesai dan akan berkuat kuasa sepenuhnya pada tahun depan.
He said this in a news conference after the opening of the International Geoscience and Remote Sensing Symposium 2022 at Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre yesterday. According to Datuk Seri Dr. Adham, Malaysia is one of the earliest ASEAN countries to have its own space board, the second after the Philippines. He also said the board will have jurisdiction in airspace above 100 kilometres from sea level. With the board, Datuk Seri Dr. Adham said Malaysia may soon have its own space launch site, especially since the country is located close to the equator, resulting in a shorter distance to space, hence saving cost.
With the MERS 999 application system, getting emergency assistance is now easier. Save Me 999 Police connects the Malaysian public to the police. Save Me 999 Deaf for those with hearing or speech impairments. And Save Me 999 Blind for those with visual impairments. Download now for free on your smartphones. MERS 999 and applications make emergency calls easier.
And that's it from us this afternoon. In our top story, SOPs for COVID-19 and influenza in schools when necessary. News at 10 comes on this evening on My Freeview's Berita RTM news channel. I'm Renee Fong. Have a pleasant afternoon.